Hey, are you a business owner, entrepreneur, or professional? If so, we want you to apply to be a featured guest on our show. My name is Adam Torres, and I host the Mission Matters series of podcasts. I've recorded over 3,000 episodes, and we are just getting started. How do you know if you'd be a good guest to be on the show? Well, only one way to find out, and that's to apply, but I'm going to let you in on a little secret. We want guests that have a story to tell, guests with a brand, a product, or a service that can benefit my audience of listeners. If this sounds like you, go to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. I'd love to talk to you and get to know more about your story. Again, head on over to missionmatters.com and click on Be Our Guest to apply. All right, now let's get into the show. Hey, I'd like to welcome you to another episode of the Mission Matters Business Podcast, your source for all things business. My name is Adam Torres. You can follow me on Instagram at AskAdamTorres. Keep up with my book releases, book tour schedule, signings, all that other good stuff. Always love to connect with you there. And as always, if you'd like to apply to become a co-author of one of my upcoming books, just head on over to the website, missionmatters.com, and click on Become an Author to apply. All right, so I have John Bernatovicz online, and he's president and founder over at Willery and also host of HR Like a Boss podcast. John, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks a lot, Adam. Appreciate you having me. All
right, so hey, I'm excited to get into today's topic, HR Like a Boss, and I love having other podcasters on there. So we're definitely going to 100% talk about your podcast because I want my listeners to go and check it out. But before we do that, let's go into this concept. So HR Like a Boss, like where'd you come up with this? What is this about?
Yeah, so I've worked in the field of human resources for my entire career. I actually first started calling on professionals by my relationship at ADP, which is an outsourced HR payroll service. So I had a chance to connect with a ton of great human resource professionals, and then I committed my business career and the company I own, Willery, to serving that HR community. And I have seen people do amazingly awesome things in human resources, and regretfully, Adam, I've seen some people do the exact opposite of amazingly awesome thing in HR. And so I'm trying to provide a guidepost and some suggestions of things that I've seen over the years as to what people that do, in my opinion, HR the way it should be, what those tenets are, kind of thinking differently, being different, and taking action. And so the podcast is an opportunity for me to connect with professionals that are doing HR the way that I think it should be, and then it'll feed into a book that I'm writing that'll hopefully tell that same story, but in a different media. So super excited about it, and have got a tremendous amount of interest from the community. And I feel blessed to be able to tell my perspective of all of it.
So let's go a little bit deeper into kind of some of the nuts and bolts, like what makes somebody do HR like a boss? And obviously there's only so much we can get in a 15-minute podcast episode, but give us some themes, like give us some broad strokes on what makes somebody, do HR like a boss.
So I originally defined someone that does HR like a boss as a business person who just so happens to practice HR. And then throughout the last, let's call it year or so, since I conceptualized this idea, I started talking with a ton of other HR professionals to get their ideas on what does it mean when you hear the term HR like the boss. So that of like kind of a leader who connects people to their organization in this term amazingly awesome way. And amazingly awesome comes from I'll call it the slang version of boss. If you look up the definition in Urban Dictionary, there's a clean version that talks about somebody doing something amazing and awesome. So that's our spin on it. And my what I call kind of full length description of HR like a boss is taking both of those definitions and bringing it to a courageous business leader, someone that consistently owns their HR responsibility of connecting people to their organization in an amazingly awesome way, and having a really positive impact on their community, their organization, and their employees.
So, can you provide just an example? And it doesn't have to be, I don't have to say the company's name or anything like that, but I'm just trying to get a feel, because I love the concept, by the way, but like just an example, like what are some things that you've seen, just a characteristic or a trait where you're like, oh, that's a boss right there?
Yeah, no, I appreciate you asking. So I have one example that came up recently on one of the podcast shows that I had, and it was a colleague of mine and someone that we've done work with together in the past. And she was telling me about how their organization struggled before and during her initial part of her career in getting the people within their organization, the frontline workers, the folks that are kind of responsible for bringing in the revenue and delivering the service that the company provides. They were not connecting with the company. They felt like what they were doing was a job, and I had to be responsible for that. Even though the company was publicly traded, they had a chance to, air quote, be an owner by getting shares within the company. They just were not able to connect the people to the business. And so they dug into it, worked with their leadership team, worked with their management team, and they developed this program that allows each of the managers to collaborate with an employee to define what it is that their job responsibility is, how that job connects to the outcomes of the business that they're trying to achieve, which is making an impact socially, driving profitability, delivering great service. So they understand how their job, as an individual employee's job, lines up with what the business is trying to achieve. And then HR has been involved in orchestrating those discussions. And then on a quarterly, if not semi-annual basis, HR is connecting with each manager and each employee just to see, how are you doing? Do you still feel that connection to the company? Are you getting a sense that what you're doing is making a difference? Because I don't know if you read up on HR statistics and data, but there's a really unique study out there that says 2 out of 3 employees are disengaged at work, which means they just don't really care about what they're doing and don't feel a connection to the company or what they're responsible for. So this particular client has done an awesome job in dissecting what was wrong, coming up with a plan to better connect the people to the business, and they're driving some really cool results as an outcome of looking at things in a different way than they had in the past.
Let's go a little bit further into your into the book that you're writing. So you mentioned you're writing a book. Tell us a little bit more about that and what you expect.
Yeah, no, I appreciate the chance to share. So I'm super excited about it. It's kind of a daunting task because it is my first book. I'm not a guy like you, Adam, that co-authored countless books. So it's one of those kind of bucket list experiences for me that I've enjoyed, but it's a bit of labor of love in the fact that I don't do this every day. I'm running my business and taking care of my personal responsibilities as a dad and a husband. So a book author is something I'm happy to have the chance to be able to do and potentially add to my resume. But really the book is providing the HR professional with a tool set that I believe they need to help their employees feel more connected, as I mentioned before, to their organization and ensure that the organization is being successful. Now, if you think about how important work is to the individual employee, wouldn't it be amazing if we could try to connect those employees to the business in a way that they feel like they get why they're doing what they're doing, and they feel a tremendous amount of pride in their identity of working. So I'm combining real life stories like I gave of the example of my client that did that special work within connecting their people to their company to embody the characteristics of what a boss is, with some actionable insights for making an impact on their people and their organization. And in essence, some of the key items of being a boss, in my opinion, is to own everything that you do, take full responsibility. Don't be a finger point. Be using your thumb to look back at you and say, what could I have done differently to make that a better place or that a better experience for the employees of the organization. And you truly have to have a love for people. And I do use the word love, which may be odd in a business book, but I think you truly have to love working with people and have a passion for them. So in essence, it'll help detail all that and how HR can build the principles of business into their daily job responsibilities, which also has to do with making sure you have financial success, that you're being socially responsible, and that you're driving the type of value you want to the community, all through world-class human resources.
Fantastic. So, John, if somebody's listening to this and they want to learn more about what you're doing over at Willery, or they want to listen to the podcast, HR Like Boss, or keep up with the book coming out, I mean, what's the best way for my audience to connect with you and your brand overall?
Yeah, thank you so much. So I'll launder off 4 quick things here. So to find Willery, which is the staffing and consulting firm that's solely focused in HR and payroll, you can find us through all social channels. We're Willery, Willory1. on Instagram and Twitter, etc. So again, that's WILLORY, the number 1. My last name is crazy, so if you want to connect with me personally through social media on LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter, I'm John Bernatovicz, which Adam, you did a great job pronouncing my name. Congratulations on that. It's an
10 tries later.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. We tried that out, but it's John, John, Bernatovicz is Bernatovic. And if you want to hear all the podcasts that we've done on HR Like a Boss, you can check out my company's website, which is Willery.com, WILLORY.com/HRLAB. So Willery.com, HRLAB. And then you can subscribe to the HR Like a Boss podcast on Spotify and on all the other podcast tools and resources that are out there. So check it out. Again, HR space Like a Boss. And I would love to hear your feedback. And if you know of a super awesome, amazingly successful HR professional, please make a recommendation. I'd love to have them as a guest on my show, just like Adam, you've been so successful on driving a guest into what you have going on. So appreciate the chance to make the plug.
Fantastic. Well, John, really appreciate you coming on the show today and sharing more about your background and all the great stuff you're doing over at Willery. And to my audience, don't forget, check that out, HR Like a Boss podcast, and keep in touch with John and his team for that upcoming book. And if you're listening to this for the first time, I hope you got a lot of value out of it. Don't forget, hit the subscribe button. We have some more great guests coming up for you soon. And if you're watching this on the YouTube channel, obviously hit the subscribe there. But more importantly, leave us some comments in the video. I love to keep the conversation going over in the YouTube community. I'm so happy to talk to you there. And John, thanks again for coming on the show. It's been fun.
You got it. My pleasure, and good luck to you and continued success.